Hello students, we will be discussing about the chapter that is sound. Okay, so what is sound? Sound is nothing but it is a form of energy. Okay, it is a form of energy and it is produced by vibrating bodies. Okay, it is produced by the vibrating bodies. Okay, and one more thing we need to know is that it requires a medium to transfer. Okay, so the moment of the sound waves, okay, it requires a medium. So the waves whichever require a medium to transfer or to propagate, that waves are called as mechanical waves. Okay, so we can say that sound waves are mechanical waves because they need a medium to propagate. Okay, they need a medium to propagate. Okay, so the waves which need a medium to propagate are called as mechanical waves. Okay, so let me repeat. Sound is nothing but it is a form of energy. It is produced by the vibrating bodies and it requires the medium to transfer from one point to the other. Okay, so the waves whichever require a medium to propagate, such waves are called as mechanical waves. Okay, whereas coming to the light waves, they do not require a medium. Okay, light travels even in the vacuum. Okay, so this is the major difference between the sound waves and the light waves. Light waves are non-mechanical waves, whereas sound waves are mechanical waves. Okay, if there is no medium, we cannot hear the sound. For example, if we are sitting in the car and if we are packing up ourselves, okay, if we are closing all the windows, the person outside the car will not be able to hear the sounds produced by the person sitting in the car. Okay, it is because the air is being cut off from the car and into the car. Okay, so because there is no changing of the air, okay, air is the carrier of the sound waves. Because the air is being cut off from the outside environment and the car, the sound waves are unable to travel. Okay, so next thing we will be saying that what are the characteristics of sound. Okay, characteristics of sound. We will be hearing different types of sounds in our daily life. Okay, for example, the chirping of the birds, the barking of a dog, the voice of a male, the voice of a female, the voice of the children. All these sounds are all these are the sounds only, but yet they are differing from one another. Okay, it is because the characteristics of the sound are differing from one person to the other as well as from one organism to the other. Okay, so we will see what are the characteristics of the sound. Pitch of the sound, loudness of the sound. Okay, so as we have said that sound is produced by the vibrating bodies. Okay, so what is pitch we will be knowing now. Pitch is nothing but it is the shrillness of the sound. Okay, pitch is nothing but the shrillness of the sound. That means whether this voice is very sharp or it is the coarse sound, that is called as pitch of the sound. Okay, so on what factor does the pitch of the sound depend? Let us see. Okay, so we have said that sound is produced by the vibrating bodies. For that reason, what we will be seeing is, what is vibration? Vibration is nothing but to and fro motion, which you have already learnt in 7th class. Okay, you have learned that vibration is nothing but to and fro movement is known as vibration. So sound is produced by the vibrating bodies. Suppose if you see this, if this is the molecule which is responsible, or if this is the source which is responsible for the production of the sound, so this will be vibrating. So this to and fro motion is called vibration. Okay, one to and fro is called as vibration. Okay, so the number of vibrations produced in 1 second, okay, is called frequency. Okay, the number of vibrations produced in 1 second is called as frequency. The unit of frequency is per second. Its unit is per second, even hertz. Okay, so these are the units of frequency. Hertz is the SI unit of frequency. Okay, and another unit is cycles per second. Okay, these are the units of frequency. Okay, so we were discussing about the pitch of the sound. It is nothing but it is the shrillness, and pitch, it depends upon the frequency. Okay, pitch of the sound depends upon the frequency. Frequency is nothing but the number of vibrations. If the frequency is high, the voice will be of high pitch. That means it is of sharp. It will be a sharp sound. Okay, if it is very sharp sound, it will be able to travel to the longer distances. Okay, you might have seen generally ladies are having high pitched voice. That means their voice is sharp when compared to the voice of the males. Okay, the males are having the low pitch voice. Okay, this is about the pitch. Pitch is nothing but it is related to the shrillness of the sound. Okay, pitch depends upon the frequency. So what is frequency? It is nothing but the number of vibrations per second is known as frequency. Greater the frequency, greater is the pitch of the sound. Okay, so pitch depends upon the frequency. So we can say that pitch is directly proportional to the frequency. Okay, if the frequency is high, the pitch is high pitch voice. Okay, so we can say that adult males have low pitch voice and females have high pitch voice. Okay, among the animals, the birds are having high pitch, whereas the lion, it roars, right? Its pitch is low when compared to the pitch of the birds. Okay, this is about the pitch of the sound. So next thing is we will be discussing about loudness of the sound, or nothing but intensity of sound. Another important characteristic is loudness of the sound, or intensity of the sound. This is nothing but it is the maximum displacement, okay, caused during the vibration. Okay, so whenever a body is being vibrating, so what happens is the body will be moving, it will be displacing. Okay, suppose if this is the hacksaw blade, if you are keeping it and just if you give a push and leave it, what happens? It starts moving up and down. Okay, so that is what is displacement. Okay, so if the displacement is large, we can say that the sound is having high intensity. Okay, so the loudness of the sound is nothing but also called as intensity. Okay, so intensity of the sound depends upon the displacement. Okay, or we can say that is nothing but the amplitude. Okay, it depends upon the amplitude. Okay, what is amplitude? Nothing but the displacement of the vibrating bodies. Okay, so greater the amplitude, greater is the intensity of the sound. Okay, you might be seeing different kinds of sounds, you might be hearing different kinds of sounds. Okay, for example, the sound produced during the normal conversation and the sound produced whenever we are shouting in anger, there is a difference, right? So whenever we are shouting shouting in anger, that means what? Our vocal cords are being stretched. They are producing more vibrations, causing much of displacement in the vocal cords. For that reason, the sound is of larger intensity. Okay. Again, another example is the sound produced by a jet plane. Okay, the sound produced during the burning of the firecrackers. Okay, firecrackers. The sound produced by the horns. Okay, horns during the traffic. All these are having different intensities. Okay. So the loudness or intensity of sound is measured in decibels. Okay, so the loudness of the sound is measured in decibels and it is represented as small d capital B. Okay, this is the unit for measuring the intensity of the sound. Okay, so just now we were discussing that different sounds are having different loudness. That means they are differing in the decibels. Okay, whenever we are maintaining perfect silence, okay, that is the sound is having 0 decibels. Okay, perfect silence leads to 0 decibels of loudness. So we'll be seeing the intensities of few sounds. Okay. Example, when silence is maintained, okay, at silence we are having 0 decibels of sound. Okay, and normal conversation, Okay, the normal conversation, it will be having 60 decibels of intensity. The intensity of sound is 60 decibels. Okay, whereas the intensity of a jet plane is 120 decibels. Okay, and whereas the sound produced whenever a gun is shot, okay, whenever the sound produced by a gunshot or the firecrackers is 140 decibel. Okay, this is one of the important data, you all need to remember it. Okay, so the intensity of the silence is 0 decibels, and that of the normal conversation is 60 decibels, and that of the jet plane, okay, is 120 decibels, and that of the gunshot, whenever we are shooting a gun by, okay, the sound produced is of the intensity of 140 decibels. Okay. Another thing what we need to know is, okay, if a person is exposed to the sound of 80 decibels, okay, continuous exposure, to this intensity of sound, which intensity? 80 decibel, okay, leads to hearing loss. Okay, so we have to control the sound pollution. Okay, what happens if we are continuously prone to listen to these kinds of sounds? It will be disturbing our mechanism. Okay, it causes sleeplessness. Okay, and due to sleeplessness, we will be getting different ailments like hypertension, high BP. Again, it leads to cardiac problems. So many things. Okay, so we have to see that the sound is reduced. Okay. So we have to say that the sound pollution has to be controlled. If not, it leads to the health problems. Okay. So another thing we need to know about the sound is infrasonic sound and ultrasonic sound. Okay. Infrasonic sounds are nothing but, it is the sound, okay, whose frequency is less than, its frequency is less than 20 hertz. Okay, such sounds are called as infrasonic sounds. Okay, so infrasonic sounds we will not be able to hear it. Okay, whereas coming to the ultrasonic sounds, its a frequency is greater than 20,000 hertz, or we can say it as 20 kilohertz. Okay, that sound is called as ultrasonic sound. Okay, and the sound between 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz is called as the audible range. Okay, so what is audible range? It is nothing but the sound having a frequency of about 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Okay, whereas the sound having the frequency less than 20 hertz is called as infrasonic sound, whereas the sound having frequency about 20,000 hertz is called as ultrasonic sound. Okay, the sound between 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz is called as audible range. Another thing we need to know is that the difference between music and noise. Okay, both are sounds only. Music is also a sound as well as noise is the sound. If the sound is pleasant to hear, we call it as music, whereas the sound which is unpleasant to hear, that is called as noise. Music is pleasant sound. It gives us happiness. Okay, whereas noise is unpleasant sound. Okay, whereas noise, it leads to sound pollution. Okay, noise leads to the sound pollution. Sorry, it leads to the sound pollution. Okay, so what are the effects of sound pollution? It leads to insomnia, that is sleeplessness. Sleeplessness is also called as insomnia. Okay, and that would lead to hypertension, cardiac problems, okay, and increased BP. So how can we control the sound pollution? First we will see the effects of sound pollution. Okay, the sound whichever is having an intensity greater than 80 Hz, that will lead to the sound pollution. Okay, that is unpleasant to hear, that causes sleeplessness. Okay, hypertension, okay, increased BP. Hypertension is nothing but increased BP only. Increased blood pressure, and increased blood pressure, it will lead to the cardiac problems. Okay, so therefore what we have to do is we have to curtail, we have to cut down the sound pollution. So how can we cut down the sound pollution? Okay, we have to use the silencers, okay, to the automobiles which will be producing the sound. Okay, so for that reason only we will be seeing the silencers attached to the automobiles. Okay, and whenever we are using the machines, they also produce the sound. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to attach the silencers. Okay, one thing. Another thing is that we have to manufacture the machines which produce low sound. Okay, that is the other way we can curtail the sound pollution. Okay, and we have to plant more trees. Okay, by this also we can reduce the sound pollution. So you please go through the textbook and you can understand it better. Okay, please go through the textbook.